Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amy and I am here with the second half of the box of antiques from the largest antique store in Missouri, so stay tuned. So as you can see, we've got a visitor and she, I think, kind of was jumbling the table that I have my tablet sitting on. So, ow, ow. Oh, it's those claws. Let's just put her on her back and maybe she'll... Okay, anyway, it's later in the same evening as when I started this video. This is a hot mess. This is my second attempt at this video and I need to put her in timeout, but maybe if I move my legs, she can sit up here. Everybody just calm down. Okay, so yeah, so I've got the rest of the box that I started showing in I'm presuming the last video, and we'll see what else we've got. And depending on how long it takes, oh my goodness, she wants to be in such a specific place. You know, I've got to move this arm so I can get in the box, right? You see my candy stash over there? Okay, do any of you get acne after eating candy like that? Because I don't know, okay, it's mostly women, maybe all women that watch this channel at this point, and I am going to be 50 in November, and I'm still getting zits. Now, I've got one right, here I am. Let's point it out so you can stare at it for the whole video, but I've got one up here, I've got one over here, and I don't know if it's from having shaved here recently, and my dermatologist gave me, prescribed me this to use after I shave, and I haven't tried it yet. So maybe if I had, I wouldn't be experiencing this, but I don't know if it's from the act of shaving, because I guess maybe I'm follicularly challenged, because anytime hair is trying to come through anymore, it gets irritated, and it's happening up here too. And I don't know if that's from the Sotyktu, because it is a side effect of the Sotyktu that I take to put my psoriasis in remission, or if it's from the minoxidil, because the minoxidil is supposedly vasodilator, I think they call it, and so perhaps that's sending more nonsense into the skin. I don't know, but so yeah, I'm tired of being like, I want to have clear skin before I die. So, and I don't want to then just die right after I get the clear skin. But I was doing some research and this came highly recommended. There was an article that recommended 5 different kinds of, or brands that deal with this. And this particular article was for people that are experiencing hair loss due to GLP drugs, which I am on Mounjaro for diabetes, which I lost 100 pounds. And so anytime you lose a bunch of weight, you start to lose your hair. But then I was doing more research and it was like, if you've lost it because of these GLP drugs, what you've really done is you've super aged your scalp. So your scalp is like 100 years old now compared to the rest of you. And so you need to do extra things. So this is treating it from the inside. And then I'm thinking about getting some stuff from Plant Therapy that is like a castor oil, rosemary oil kind of combo. I think it's got some sweet almond oil in it too, that you then would put on your scalp I guess you could put it on at night or whatnot, and then maybe that would help too. So yeah, so there's my little health update that nobody asked for. Let me get something to drink there. All right, so let's get back into stuff I got from the biggest antique store in Missouri called the St. Charles Antique Store. Misnomer because it's actually in St. Peters, Missouri. And then depending on how long it takes us to finish this, I brought in that huge, you can kind of see a little piece of it over here, the huge junk journal that I just bought at the art gallery in Quincy, Illinois, that was made by a Native American or an indigenous person, whatever the proper way is to say that, and a man. So yeah, so let's get started. All right, so this particular antique store was huge. I didn't make it all the way through. I'm debating whether, because Monday's my last day of recklessly spending for this business that I'm trying to ramp up. And so I'm debating of whether or not to go back there to finish out the store or to go back to some places I know usually have things I like. I don't know. So we'll see. So I got this. There were maps and stuff in the last video, but these came from one of these booths that just had totes and totes full of paper. And they had several booths in the section of the antique store that I went to. But I had never seen a State Farm pocket one. I've obviously seen the full-size atlases that insurance companies used to put out. Gosh, what do they do now? They used to like give these to customers and stuff in response to them paying all this money for insurance, but now what do they give them? Although I bet people would have rather had money instead of a map, but maybe not, I don't know. And then there was this bag full of cards, which you guys know I love cards. I sell vintage card swaps in my shop. There was, I think it was the same booth that had the totes and totes full of paper, also had 2 full totes worth of playing cards. And it was just too much. I sort of looked through it and then I was like, nope, can't do it. Because they were also on the bottom shelf and I just can't bend like that anymore. So anyway, but I found this in a different one. It had 6 decks of cards in it. These are Trump brand, which I have a lot of those, and I like birds. This is just a casino kind of deck. Let's see if it's been in a casino. Yeah, it looks like it has, because it's got the corner cut off. So, but the Casino Queen, I don't know what to do with, I guess cards like that, for me, I don't want to sell those in the vintage card swap. So those probably will get repurposed into tags, maybe would be the best thing, because I could put it like this so that I could cut off the other corner and then have a tag and then decorate it however I want. So that's probably what will happen with those. And then we've got, well, one's like a farm scene and the other one's kind of like an October scene. I don't know how well those go together. Usually, I mean, I like getting decks that go together and came together, but usually they're a little bit more similar in design to this than these are. But anyway, there's that. And I was looking to see if it might have had a year, but it doesn't. But they've never been opened, and I don't know what I paid because this place takes up. You guys, these antique stores that don't have barcodes, it takes a crazy long time for them to check us out. But this antique store does have a rewards program, but you have to spend $500 in a calendar year before the rewards start kicking in. So, all right, so here's the other deck. I don't think these two came together. They don't look anything like each other. And this case that they came in was broken. And actually, I bet I could tell if I can find either a Joker or the Ace of Spades to see if they're even the same brand. Why do we even care, Amy? I don't know. Okay, these are Whitman cards, so they did not come in this case. And, oh, these might have come in the case. Yeah, these are Stancraft, which probably did come in the case. So at some point somebody lost the other one that went with this and then filled it in with, it's such a strange image there in the center. But whatever, I have a pile of single decks. And so whenever I get more single decks, I look to see if any of them will kind of go together. And I'm sorry, I keep reaching down here because I think I must have gotten bit by something. It itches and I don't see any of my clobetasol, which is what I usually use on my bug bites. Probably not recommended. And don't ever look to me for medical advice, but yeah, I can't find any, so. All right, then I found this general catalog from 1967 for the New Hampton General Store. Where is that located at? In Hampton, New Jersey. Something over there is gonna fall. Okay, so it's RFD. Oh, like Mayberry RFD? It's RFD, Hampton, New Jersey. Fine Country Products by mail. And I just thought this would have some, I like old catalogs from different time periods. So these, I can cut these pictures out or use them as tags and collage, that kind of stuff. So yeah, so somebody, this has an address sticker on here for somebody from St. Louis. From back before there were zip codes. What's this St. Louis 30 Mo? Like, what does that mean? So that's an interesting thing to get in the mail. I wonder if it would have been like, what are some of those catalogs? Carol Wright, those kind of things. And then I found this cookbook by Ready Wilcolator. I think that's an E at the end, but it could be an R. And from the Wilcolator Company, just different, I like these little recipe booklets that are also advertisements for whatever, either equipment they sell or product that they sell. So those are fun. And if I can't sell it as is, it makes a good thing to break down. Yeah, I think I did get bit by something, and I'm sorry. I am like super sensitive to bites. Please don't hurt me, cat. Please go somewhere and okay, you want to just sit on the pile there? Whatever. Okay, next I got just a random pack of vintage cards. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, I don't know. But I thought they had some, a lot of them are Hallmark cards. But I thought they had you know, things would be pretty to cut out. So there were several of those cards. And then ones that aren't quite as interesting to me. Like this feels like the 80s. Some Christmas cards. And so any of these you can, you know, take this off and make it into like a postcard or a journaling card. You could just leave it like this and put it in there. Yes, something over there is moving. So just more Christmas cards. And then a whole stack of envelopes. I don't know if it's enough envelopes to go with the cards. I don't know, considering it costs, I don't even know now what it costs for cards at the dollar. I see a Slim Jim coming down. And perhaps a bag of candy, maybe. But yeah, I don't know what cards cost in the Dollar Tree anymore. But I feel like this whole little pile was only a couple bucks. And I really liked, a couple of these did feel kind of older to me. Great to go in a journal because then you can open it up and have all that writing space. And these, well, I guess there was only one of these. I liked it. It's just a plain, but they have really neat fonts. You could cut this out and put it on a tag or whatever, and a cool, you know, you don't have to use the envelope with the card. You can separate it. But that was kind of a cool design for an envelope. You can always take the envelopes apart to create a pattern to use with your own kind of paper. So, okay, that was all the cards. And then I'm always looking for vintage flashcards. I'd never seen any quite like this before. It does have the instructions, and they look like this from back. Let's see if I can tell how old these are. Let's see if the box says or if it's on the instructions. 1968. But you may be thinking, how does this work? Because the whole answer's there. Well, you get this little card, and it's got a thing, you know, to put over it. So you can put it over this, or this, or this, or you can even put it over this. So I thought that was kind of neat. But anyway, cards that I'd never seen before. And I like the boxes too, even though for some reason people were very worried about losing their flashcards, because just about every box of flashcards that I find has somebody's name on it. So it could be that they were a teacher and this would help make sure that the box stayed in the right classroom. I don't know, but it's supposed to have 2 of those slides, but this box only had 1. Okay, these cards are getting out of control, so let me get the rubber band. Am I gonna find the rubber band again? Probably not. Peanut is probably sitting on it. Okay. All right, next, I found this. Okay, this is Shoe Factories Limited from Shannonward. I don't know how to pronounce this because this is Switzerland, but I'm gonna say Shannonward, Switzerland. Up here at the top. And it looks like this. And then one of these pages came out already, so let me find. Well, of course I can't find it when I'm trying to, but it's got a ton of, I'll do this and then it'll fall out, of pictures, but at the top it's got the calendar for 1961, and It seems like it's got the whole year, but I love these kind of, and you can see, oh, there it went. You can see it's plain on the back, so it'd be great for journaling on the back. Oh, and my daughter, you know, she was born on St. Patrick's Day. So I love these ones. Now, granted, there's 3 days per page, I guess, but I like having these because if people want a customization in their journal, maybe they want to request a birthday or something. And so I've got my little expand-a-file thing that I put all these in. And then this is a pretty thick chipboard that after I deconstruct it, I could use as a journal cover or multiple journal. I could actually probably cut it in half and then cut it in half this way and get 2 full journal covers out of it, because I do, or I'm going to do, the cinch bound style instead of sewn, so I don't have to have a spine. So that'll be nice. And another city guide for St. Louis. Oh, it says and map. All right, well, let's look. Can we see the year on this? 1944. But some of these, I think, yeah, this book doesn't have the map in it. I think the person that sold these put everything in different things. So I did get on the last video, I did have a map that I think went with this, but they were all separate. But this just, I like this kind of the color of the paper, the size of the paper, and just the fact that it's, you know, I like that. But this is back from before, like my neighborhood didn't exist back in 1944. So I like, when I find these, I like to find my street and save that page for myself. But yep, didn't exist back then. Well, heck, the arch didn't even exist in 1944, which is crazy, because obviously the arch has existed ever since I've been alive. So it's weird to think of St. Louis without an arch. All right, and I love these books. They're some of my favorite children's books because they have kind of a, it's not completely, but they have kind of a monochromatic coloring. And so like this book has green and blue on the cover. And so the majority of the single color pictures in here will either be green or blue typically. And it was kind of like a Reader's Digest anthology kind of thing for kids books. So they would pick out popular kids stories and condense them, illustrate them into these treasuries kind of thing. And there's so this is from 1960, and it gives you a table of contents, but you can find these for a wide variety of prices. And I usually won't spend more than $4 for one of these, just because I've gotten them for that price before. So when I see some for $20, I'm like, no. I mean, maybe some of them are super collectible or have an artist or something in them that makes them worth more, but I kind of doubt it. But there's usually at least one story that's got some full color illustrations, but then the majority of them don't. And then there's usually kind of like one story that's got real pictures too, just to give the kids a variety. But I like these because a lot of times the image is on the top, and then you could do that dual pocket thing that we did on a previous video. Yeah, so I think part of what I'm thinking about doing on this channel along with the hauls is, you know, short little crafty moments, not nothing quality like a Seven Plaza or any of the other awesome, like Treasure Books. Is she one of the ones that has a really awesome channel? Nothing like that. We'll be sitting here talking, and I'll show you what I'm doing. But I think I want to prepare 5 junk journals at one time. So my thought is that I'll get, like, for example, I'll get one of my Raggedy Ann books that usually does have a picture at the top, and I'll find 5 pages like that, and then we'll make 5 pockets together. If you're following along at home with your own supplies, we'll make 5 of them together, and then each one of my journals will get one of those pages that we made together, so that by the time I'm done making the journal and do the flip throughs, you'll have gotten to participate in the making of it, whether it's picking out the pages that we put in it, like the background pages, or whether it's how we embellish those pages, that kind of stuff. So hopefully you'll feel like you know, participated, and then we'll see if I can sell one, right? Because that's the end goal, is can I sell one? But I've bought a bunch of junk journals, and I haven't shown them yet on this channel, but Jason and Galia got me, they went to an antique mall without me and found a new booth that had somebody's handmade. They had some journals, they had some kind of accordion folio kind of things and lots of stuff, and they bought me several of those pieces, and so I'll show those at some point too. But there will also be a lesson in it, because while I'm not going to criticize what they did, there will be some learning opportunities, because in some cases there maybe would have been a better choice of glue for them to use when they were doing their stuff. But again, they've sold their stuff to me, so who am I to critique that? But yeah, sometimes you can tell if you have any experience with glue at all, and I've glued a bunch of things from when I used to make cards, greeting cards, and just some of the stuff I've done since then after learning about junk journaling, that not all glues are created equal. So yeah, and I think I even talked about that before, but yeah, so that kind of stuff's coming. But there's always something to learn and to appreciate from everybody's work of art, because that's really what it is sometimes, is a work of art. All right, then I found, well, shoot, I found a couple of these books, so let me, okay. So I found, and this one's prettier, Little Greta of Denmark book, and I don't know if this would have had a book, a jacket or whatever, but I thought this would make a nice cover of a book, of a journal. And the back is just plain, and then this one isn't quite as detailed maybe, but Little Jean of France, or Jean of France, I don't know how you want to say it. I did find another one too that was like Little Pepito of Spain maybe, but I'm not probably going to make very many journals that are geared towards boys or masculine or whatever. So I just bought the girl ones, because I'm, you know, I'm kind of not very creative, so I've got to go with what I can. But they're not all that interesting on the inside. I mean, they've got pictures and kind of a big font, so probably, you know, a children's book, children's chapter book kind of thing. But I will use the pictures for sure. But these might make good background pages, I don't know. And then this one, you see, they're from like the same series, but maybe there was, well, shoot, does it say here? Does it say like have a list of other books in the series? This one is 1939, and let's check and see if it's got any Okay, it doesn't say anywhere other books in the series, so I guess you'd have to look that up. And let's see what year this is. Oh man, I feel like something is still biting my feet. And this one's 1929. Okay, so 10 years difference between the two. And so they were able to get a little bit more decorative, but otherwise they, I mean, look very, very similar. And then it was in a library apparently at some point, but and it's a pretty decent size, but I thought that it had cool pictures inside. I like transportation, and I just thought it had some good, you know, illustrations that would be cool in either an ephemera kit or even as images on a page for tuck spots or something. And then I found another one of these. So this one is what, pink and black maybe, or light pink and dark pink. Oh, and this one, okay, so you guys, I don't know where I've been, except that I don't really like cartoons, but this Babar, I don't think I've ever heard of him, and he is so popular. There are so many books that have either this story or maybe it's a whole series of stories. I don't know, but it is amazing to me that I keep finding stuff and I never oh, look at that. That's adorable. Oh, and the train. So these books just always I just really like the illustrations, I guess, is what it comes down to. And hang on. Hi, let me take a brief moment out of our video to let you know that today's video is sponsored by Junk for Goats. Junk for Goats is my business where I sell and resell vintage, antique, and some modern ephemera for all of your junk journaling or crafting needs. I have shops on Etsy, Whatnot, and I list my digital items on my coffee shop. All of the links for those are below in the description, so please check that out. It's also important to note that 10% of all the proceeds from my sales are used to purchase goats from Compassion International. Those goats are provided to families across the world to help them meet their own families' needs in terms of their diet, but they can also take and sell the milk and the cheese that they produce from their goats to their friends and family nearby, helping to provide them with an income source that is valuable in the areas in which they live. So if you would like to craft with a difference, please check out the description below. And as always, thank you, and please enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks. All right, so yeah, I just really like the illustrations, and it's gonna be weird that I just continued on with this because I probably put my commercial in there, actually. And shoot, I have no idea how long we've been going, so, but I needed to tell someone where to find some zip ties. All right, so then we've got this old version of the Greg shorthand method, and I just like the pages, right? And this is probably the oldest version of this that I've had, although it may not be very old. It feels like it looks old, but it is from, oh, it's from 1949, so it's as old as my dad. And I like the paper. Okay, these next books are kind of large. Like almost the same size as the box. All right, so we got this Mother Goose Rhymes in really rough shape. So it was only $10. And felt like I just felt a staple. But anyway, a treasure just fell out. Bookmark. Oh, second place winner. Oh, but 2023 bookmark design contest. But yeah, these books usually have really good, they have good fonts or little poems, obviously, because it's Mother Goose, and good pictures. But yeah, a lot of times I've found a lot of these books over time, and they're usually in pretty rough shape. Pieces falling out, etc. But they're so pretty. Like, I wonder if I could like cut it across and have a you know, a journal cover. Would that work? Probably one of these poor kids in the line would have their head cut off or something. All right, and then this I thought was an interesting book, Timetable Treasury, and it's a bunch of just train timetables. And I don't know if this is like the history of timetables or if these were the actual timetables in place for trains when this book came out. Like, I haven't really done any research, but it's got some cool advertisements, and it's a nice, you know, matte kind of paper. So I love finding books like this. Oh, that was B&O Railroad that we just saw, as I just passed through and won't be able to find again. Oh, there we go. B&O, Baltimore and Ohio. Almost said Oriole. So yeah, this is a great book in my opinion. And I don't know what it cost, but even you know, I can cut these out too, which will be a nice thing. But this is from 1979. It says, this sampling of railroad public timetables from the early 1920s to Amtrak could never have been compiled without the courtesy and cooperation of many good friends, private collectors, and dealers, people that dealt timetables, helped with this. So that's fun. Oh, look, and the first one on here, St. Louis. And then the last book in here, oh no, there's two books left. I found this brief typing. I have like an older typing book, but I thought it would be neat to have this one too. I'll take it off the rings, and then it's just got, you know, for those of us that took typing, we know, we remember. So, and front and back of that. And then the last book, sorry, I'm so close. Pictorial checklist of Colorado birds. Seems like too big of a book for just Colorado, but so it's got a lot of, okay, well, it says pictorial checklist, but it's almost like a dictionary of birds, because it's got tons of pages of just bird information. It's not with the picture of the bird like a lot of bird books might be, but it does have plates in it, and the plates themselves are glossy. You can kind of see, but the pages of like the dictionary kind of pages are not glossy. So half of the book is kind of the dictionary part, and then the other half are these big full page plates. And I'm trying to see if they all have the same artist. Donald Malik. D.L. Malik. So maybe, yeah, maybe they're all, like I don't see any of them that say Audubon or Ginter. And it probably says on the cover that they're all, no, it doesn't. Well, let's see if, and it's got newspaper clippings in the front. Extra treasures. Not very many. Are they bird related? Oh, nifty. I don't know how I missed that when I was picking this out. I guess I usually just look in the middle of the book, and if it doesn't interest me pretty quickly, then I give up on it. Oh, look at this. It's got bird on this side, but this side is cool. So yeah, I guess it's just all, I wonder if these are, like I was trying to see if these were the artist from this book, but I think they're just pictures. But guys, I'm not gonna lie, I like the back sides better. Okay, but let's look to see if it says they're all illustrated by this one guy. This book is from 1967. And gosh, it doesn't even list the illustrator on that page, the cover page. Does it list the illustrator anywhere? What a ripoff if it doesn't. Yeah, it might in here somewhere, but maybe at the beginning of that color section. It's also got a glossary or an index, maybe, of all the birds. Color plates of Colorado birds. But yeah, it does not mention the artist. Okay, well that one's a John Crosby. So I guess they're not all the same person. Well, okay, maybe that's why they didn't list that. All right, so let me get a few of these things put back in here, because then I'm gonna just say we have time to do a little look at this huge junk journal that I got in the art gallery. And the guy running the art gallery was like, well, actually for this, he had a price, probably because it wasn't his, but we ended up buying a piece of art to put on the wall that was his, and he made us name a price, which that is just, I hate being in that kind of situation because I don't know what art is worth. And he proceeds to, you know, tell us what it would go for, like in California or something, but we're in Quincy, Illinois, so you got to take that with a grain of salt or whatever. But, and then he was like, but I'll tell you how much time I put into it. And he's like, it took me about 2 hours and about $8 worth of supplies. And so then Jason and I are like looking at each other, like trying to talk to each other without talking. And finally, Jason offered him $75, and he's like, well, that doesn't hurt my feelings. So then we were like, okay, wonder what we could have gotten it for. But it's a really pretty, I'll just have to bring it in here sometime. I'm not sure where it's landed, and maybe I could put it up on the wall behind me. Except I need to figure out a way to put my digital work up there to kind of like serve as advertisement. But I already have my, sorry, I usually sneeze 3 times. Okay, maybe because I'm nervous and I'm on camera, I will only sneeze twice. I do a digital kit each month because, and then the second tier of my YouTube membership gets some of that digital kit, and then the highest tier gets the majority of the digital kit. They don't always get all of it because sometimes, depending on how many pages I create in the kit, determines how many they each get. But then I list those on my coffee shop. And so I've done, for August it was Watermelon Picnic, and for July it was Honey Garden, and September, because it's going back to school, will be Library Days. And then because I've already gotten September done, now tonight was working on October, which is going to be Moonlit Remedies, I think, kind of an apothecary style. So not full on Halloween, but you know, related, Halloween adjacent. So I've been having fun doing that. But yeah, Sequoia said I need to display some of my art to help entice people to want to see what I've done. Okay. See, now my nose is going to run because I sneezed. But you guys, look at this. Okay. So it is ginormous. Now, you can see in here what I think it's still multiple signatures, but it basically looks like 2 books. Like, it's really, I don't really know. I wouldn't need a journal this big. Now, that being said, I've bought 2 journals from Casey Creations, and they are big like this, but they're sort of like folios too, because all of hers are string bound, maybe you would say, because you can slide the signatures in and out and just kind of work with one signature. Plus she's got the actual journal. So in hers, which I need to show you guys still, my second one that I bought, she'll have a journal in the back, and then she'll have 3 folios. So hers ends up being this big too, but it's not like, this one's meant to be written in the whole thing. So it's huge. But here's the cover. So yeah, so I was expecting it to be pretty steampunk heavy, and it's really not. But it's got a drawer pull screwed in, and it had this, so I just wrapped this around it to close it, because it's so huge, you guys, so huge. I'm not going to show you everything on here, but I'm going to show a few like things. But like in the front, it's got kind of a vellum or a glassine kind of envelope here that's got some stuff tucked in. But one of the things, I thought this was brilliant. So they took the inside of a pen and put it in like this paper with a paper clip, so you can just clip it in and then you got your pen. Like, that seems like a brilliant thing to me. So I'm gonna copy that for when I work on my journals, because even if the person that gets the journal doesn't like it, hey, I gave you a pen. And it could also be a bookmark. But there were just, and well, I'll show you. I'm gonna show you like specific, but like this, Jason said he's seen this at Five Below. So this is not just full of, and it didn't claim to be full of all just vintage things. There's definitely commercial items in here. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to just set this on my lap because it'll be too hard to hold it up. But so it has, okay, so like this perhaps was scrapbook paper that he wadded up to age it, and then inked it. And some other, I don't know, like this looks like it was probably a part of a bigger piece of paper just based on the border, and just use stickers to hold the ribbon on. Okay, so then we've got, okay, well, I guess let me set this over here. It's kind of hard to show these when you're doing it, filming it this way. But we've got, some of these pages feel like wax paper. Some of them feel like vellum. Some of them feel like construction paper. Some of them are book page. Okay, so there's one part in here that kind of annoys me a little bit. There's one particular book that he pulled pages from that are used several places throughout the book, and every place they're used, they're upside down. And they're all covered with things, but you can still see the book page behind it, and it's all upside down. And here is one of them. And I don't know if that was just a goof or on purpose, but it's this page. So every page from that book is upside down, which drives me a little batty. But we've got tags. So it's chock full of a ton of stuff, but the last fourth of the book isn't embellished at all. And so that was a little weird. It was like he got tired, which I don't blame him. This thing is huge. But yeah, so that's a little weird. It felt unfinished. There's several places where he's got paper bags that he's embellished and stuffed with, well, in this case, an actual vintage piece. But a lot of times it's handmade pieces, like the other things in here. So he had one of those, I don't know if it would have been like a Martha Stewart kind of punch that he could have punched this out. And it's got very, very strange collages in here, I will say. And I don't know what that is. That looks like a piece of dried glue. So we've got, I mean, you guys, it's so full. And I'm not sure. I think he might have, in order to get all the page edges to look old and whatnot, he might have kind of wet them so that they would be easier to kind of tear, and they might roll a little bit when they were dried. So I'm definitely I'm gonna learn a lot from how he's kind of put this together. But you know, there's just so many different things tucked in throughout the book. Let me see. Some things, like this page, I think this whole page is Mod Podged. So it's kind of hard, and it's glossy. So I think, and I can see the brush strokes, so I think that they're Mod Podged, which there's nothing wrong with that. And actually, if I can find, we've also got, so we took index cards, tea-dyed them, punched the edges. This one might actually be just a corner punch on these. But I can tell because I have tea-dyed index cards before, and the lines on the index cards fade and shift sometimes when they're being coffee dyed. But this page that I just pulled that out of, it's a material page. So that was kind of cool. There were some things that I felt like were Temu-like, so I'll point that out when I find it. But there were several of these. So took some kind of thicker cardstock, and then like this looks like it would have been from a replica catalog, Sears catalog kind of thing. And then he put some writing paper on the back, and then of course inked it. Now I will say there are some things in here with cuss words on them, and I would just think, for me, I don't intend to have any cuss words on any of the stuff I have, unless it's on a book page that I just don't notice. But obviously some of your customers, if you were wanting to sell, may not like that. Now I don't cuss, but I don't obviously don't care if other people cuss. But there are some people out there that would. So just things it's unfortunately, you got to be so careful sometimes. And then there were these real postcards from Starved Rock State Park in Illinois. More index cards that just got some inking and stamping on them. Kind of, some of it feels a little random, but it's probably not. It probably totally made sense. I'm trying to find, like, I could see this having been a Temu thing. I thought, sure, when I feel it and hold it, it feels like a sticker. Like, but I have not been able to pull it off, so it probably isn't a sticker, but it just feels like one. But I could see this having been in a Temu paper kit. Okay, but I really want to find a couple of the inserts. Well, I'll just show some more. Oh, well, this one, I thought this one was interesting because it was probably pretty unusual. Now, do you think this kid belongs to them, or do you think it's their grandkid? And that just seems to me like an odd picture. You just don't see many old pictures like this with, like, people couldn't afford to just take pictures with everybody in their family. So it just, I don't know, it seems like there's a story here that is not normal. Not bad, but just not the average. So we did have, there is some steampunkiness in here with the stamping. And it feels very delicate in parts. There is, so like this, I could see this having been a Temu thing. More steampunk. But there's not, you know, for it being saying steampunk on the outside, I don't feel like I see a lot of steampunk in here. But where, oh, and there were several of these kind of things, and I could see this part right here having been a Temu piece. We've got a, I don't know if it was a printable or if he just printed it or if it was scrapbook paper, but the Titanic, the sinking of the Titanic. Okay, I really want to find, there's one, maybe this is it. Okay, so these, I don't know if these are authentic pieces that he backed with something or if they came, okay, it is definitely backed with a kind of a, maybe an antique paper, vintage paper, but I feel like they're kind of glossy, so I think that he might have Mod Podged that too to kind of give it some more substance. Oh great, where did these come from? Maybe right there. So yeah, so this thing is just chock full of stuff until it gets to the part that's just pages. But there's definitely plenty of places to write in here, and plenty of places to see. I love these, and I wish I knew if it was real or just really grunged up modern printable or something. Oh yeah, and then he had a die cut that he then put, you know, some kind of paper behind to give it more steampunkiness. Let's see what else. So he's just cutting out words from magazines and putting them together. Oh, this one was cool. This was an actual vintage piece, actually an antique piece. This is a kid's report card, his 8th grade report card. E's down here were 95 to 100. Now, when I first started school in the Hazelwood School District here in the St. Louis area, our grades, instead of A, B, C, D, F, it was E, S, M, I, F. So excellent, satisfactory, mediocre, inferior maybe, and then failure, something like that. And so this was kind of similar, but not quite, because they have different letters down here. But somewhere in time, I don't know if it wasn't until I got to junior high or high school when they finally switched over to A, B, C, D, and F. But it was funny too, when I was a kid, just like this one, E's and A's were 95 to 100. Now it's 90 to 100. So much easier. So you got kids that are, you know, I've got a kid that just graduated high school. You've got so many kids now that are hitting that 4.0 grade point average and higher. And it's like screwing up the system for scholarships and whatnot, because now way more people are able to apply for the scholarships, and so they're much harder to get. So I don't know why they did that, unless they wanted to show the state that their students were getting better grades. I don't know, but you know, my kids are like, oh, I got all A's, and I was like, yeah, but is it a true A? Because to me, a true A is a 95 or higher. But yeah, so, okay, and then here is a page with some doilies that have been painted with that kind of, shoot, what is this stuff called? Simon Hurley has a whole line of these kind of foily kind of paints that you kind of put on with a spatula and then let them dry, and that's kind of what that reminds me of. Then here we've got like a plastic placemat that's been cut up, so one of the squares is on there, and just all kinds of so many tags and journaling cards and stuff. And, you know, he had to cut all those out. So he did put a lot of effort into this. And if I didn't say already, I spent $75 on this. And it does have some legitimate vintage and antique ephemera in here, along with obviously some printables and possibly some commercially purchased products. Let's just flipping through to see if there's any other stuff to... In some respects, it's a lot of same old, and some of these things, like this lace right here, he glued down with glue tape. So some double-sided glue tape, and he put it on there, but because it's got holes in the lace, it's sticky still, and so it keeps sticking to the page across from it. So those are the kind of things that when I see that, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I need to keep that in mind, that if I'm, you know, gluing something down, is it gonna still be sticky? Because maybe that'll mess up something on the opposite side. Okay. And there was a lot of stamping, and there was a lot of tea-dyed papers in here, and even some dyeing with like ink water. I don't know what you call it, but where you, if you have, I don't even know if it has to be alcohol-based paints. Maybe not, because I don't know if that would mix with water, but probably water-soluble paint that you could put in, or food coloring. And then you dip your paper in that, because some of these are not tea colored. But yeah, a lot of stenciling. And a good variety of the type of paper. It's not just all tea-dyed paper or commercial scrapbook paper. But yeah, I feel like perhaps, because most of the edges are rough, I feel like perhaps maybe they got wet down and torn to create kind of a vintagey look. Okay, I think I'm finally, oh, here's an example of a belly band. Some of you were asking me what that was. So it's this yellow thing over here, and so it's glued at the top and it's glued at the bottom so that you can, this is not working, so that you can slide the pages in, or, you know, pieces in and out to just tuck them there. So I'm sorry I can't hold that up very well. It's near the end of the book, so it's a little awkward. But then there's also some, like, there's a bubble sticker that I could see being from a Dollar Tree or something. So you can, I mean, you just use whatever you've got. And of course the lace trim around it. So yeah, so this is a great kind of resource, I think, for me, along with the other junk journals that I've been buying, to get good ideas. And I don't know, I just don't always want to, I don't want to get all of my education from YouTube, which is a terrible thing to say since that's what we're on right now, and I want you to want to watch my videos, but I don't want that to be my sole source of education, even though it is an excellent source of education. So many smart people out there. But sometimes it's nice to feel it and touch it, and I know that I would never want to make a journal this big. And that's just not, more pages that I need to put back in. It's just, that's not my style. Because I'm not gonna lie, I feel like this would be hard to use because none of it's removable. And I feel like it would be hard to write in this. So then it would probably just become a glue book kind of situation where you just glue in your own memories instead of using it as a writing kind of journal. But I want my journals to be kind of both. I want you to be able to write in them like a diary or journal, but I also want you to be able to store things in them too. All right, well that, I don't have my Nostalgic TV trivia cards, so that brings us to the end of this video, and now I feel like I've got a cat hair in my nose. That's awesome. Let me really quickly, well, first, let me thank you for watching this video and for supporting this channel by watching, by commenting, by sharing, by thumbing, all of those things. I appreciate that so much. And I also appreciate my members who I would like to thank by name. You guys, my subscriber list just keeps doing this, up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm not making any progress. I was trying to, because now it's really not, even though I do have a Temu haul coming up, I don't really do Temu anymore. It's more crafting, and that's, I recognize, is a whole different cross section of viewers. And because I know that the people who kind of feel a personal connection don't care what I'm talking about on these videos, but some people were legitimately only interested in Temu. So those have gone, and so now I'm trying to utilize like the description and all that stuff to find the right people, but I think the changes I've been making still are not reaching as many people as I know are out there that enjoy this kind of thing. So therefore my subscriber count is not really moving at all. But we don't care about that. We want to thank our members. All right, let me get in here. All right, I want to thank Julie and KT, Favorites with Laura, Darlene, Hey Everybody, and Pam. Thank you so much for supporting this channel in that way with your membership. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of you. And wish me luck tomorrow, taking the kid off to college. And all right, well, by the time you see it, it'll be old news in my world. So but anyway, wherever you are, whenever you are, I hope you're having a great day, and until we meet again, take care of yourself.